Yeah. You know, yeah, it's been a long time. I appreciate y'all sticking around. Appreciate y'all. Oh man, you're too kind. Too kind. Just too kind. It's been good. Life has been good. But as you know, it's been quite a long time since I hollered at you. You know, it's been a lot going on. It's been almost 2 years since I sat in this chair and gave you the sweet, soulful sounds of me. But enough about that. What I will say is this: the one thing that I saw that was interesting is there's a lot of people out there in these very loveless relationships. Shout out to you if you're in one. I think a lot of it is the fact that people think that love is one of these things we're just supposed to impose upon one another without really going through and understanding that it's not that you impose yourself on somebody. It's not that you just keep working on it and working on it and working on it even when things clearly aren't working, but it's that you mesh in a way that you can work together for a common goal versus independently working and not getting there. You know what I'm saying? That's why relay races aren't counted the same as sprints. It's just not the same. Like one is a team sport, one is individual. And you don't just get to put your times together and say, okay, we did something. It's not how that works. You got to win and lose in that situation. Whereas in a relay, you got to work as a team. Every leg of the race is important. In a relationship, it's 2 legs to that race every single time. And I see a lot of these situations where y'all are running sprints and you're not a team. You're not going together. You're not communicating. And even if you are communicating, I'm really big on communication. Even when you are communicating, it's like you aren't being understood. And in some cases, that could be more important than the communication itself, because it doesn't matter how well you communicate if the other person doesn't hear you. You know what I'm saying? Like if they have the proverbial headphones on and they just cannot understand who you are, where you're coming from as a person, then everything that you say is not going to come out the right way. Now, I was in a relationship like that where it didn't matter what I said, it was going to be taken the wrong way. And I could explain myself. I could say, hey, no, that's not what it is. And there was a lot of times where I grew frustrated and everything else. And then after that relationship, the line that was given to me was, well, you know, you're supposed to work on it anyway. Like, you're supposed to keep working. And it's like, at what point, and that's not going to realize, at what point are you supposed to just be like, okay, well, I have worked on it. Like, I worked a whole hell of a lot on it. And at certain points, you just have to be like, okay, clearly something's not working. So it's time to step away. Time to take a step back. It's time to learn new things. It's time to be better. And I feel that's what's happening in a lot of situations. Not to say any names, I don't dox people, you know what I'm saying, but there's this woman I know, and she has been with a gentleman for like 8 years now. They don't have any kids together or anything like that, but she's caught him on multiple dating websites. She's caught him talking to other women, everything. And every single time, same story. Oh, I won't do it anymore. I'm good. You know, that was just a lapse in judgment or whatever he may say. And the difference is, like, you can see in her that there's a loss of happiness, there's a loss of self, there's just a loss of confidence, because if somebody's willing to do that, it's like makes you feel like you're less than. It makes you feel like you're not good enough, you're inadequate. And there's so many people dealing with that, and they're like staying in these relationships for whatever reason it might be, with people who cheated on them, or they make excuses for it, you know. But it's like once somebody starts entertaining anybody else, you automatically become option 2, because if you were option 1, they would never entertain anything else anyway. So that's kind of the catch-22 of that, and there's a lot of people out there who can understand that, who can look at that situation and say, well, yeah, I've ignored a lot of red flags, or I've done a lot of stuff that would seem to most people to be stupid. And if you are one of those people dealing with that type of situation, understand this. It has nothing to do with anybody but that person who's doing that. They've chosen. They made their choice. They decided that you weren't good enough to only rock with. And you might look at that and say, well, that just means I'm not good enough. That just means that I'm inadequate. There's something wrong with me. Maybe there's something wrong with my body. Maybe there's something. No, it has nothing to do with you. That might sound crazy because you're the person getting chosen over, but at the same time, it's like understanding this saying, though, like it goes, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its entire life believing that it's an idiot. And a lot of y'all are out here with these men that are the proverbial trees when you need to be in the ocean. There's a reason that he keeps doing the things he's doing, and it's because you don't belong with him. And all it's doing is making you feel like you're inadequate. It's making you feel like you can't climb that tree, whereas you're not meant to. You're supposed to be in the ocean. You're supposed to be swimming. You're not supposed to climb trees. Not everybody can climb trees. Not everybody can swim either, but that's a different conversation. The thing is, find out where you belong. Because believe me, if people are doing stuff like that, they're showing you real quick that that's not where you belong. Don't be the fish that keeps trying to climb up the tree. Be the fish that looks for the water. Because deep down, that fish knows it. It knows, like, something not right about this. Like, I know. Even though I really, really want to climb this tree. If I climb this tree, it'll really make me happy. But deep down, it's like, there's just something about this tree I just don't. It doesn't work for me, but I can still do this. And it's going to be unhappy. And here's the craziest part about that. Even if that fish climbs the tree and gets all the way to the top, it'll still be unfulfilled because it'll feel like there's still something missing. And now you get to the top. So to some people, this is being cheated on, being played, whatever, and then marrying that person. So you get to the mountaintop, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I got my ring, everything else. And you still feel like it's not good enough. You still feel like you're not good enough. And you just understand it's like it doesn't matter because it's not what you're meant to do. It's just not what you're meant to do. And so shout out to the people in those relationships because that's tough. And if a person is willing to take something, like take for example, I'm pretty sure most every woman who I've ever known would understand this, but there have been situations where you'll break up with a guy and all of a sudden he is willing to do everything in the world to get you back. Oh baby, I can change. Oh, I'll never do that again. I'll delete all these bitches out my phone. Oh, I'll let you, like, all of a sudden, when they see the knees being cut off from under them, all of a sudden now everything is on the table. Like, oh no, like I can't. No, I only love you, and they don't mean nothing. That was just sex, or that was just talking. Now I'll do anything in the world for you, right? And it's like, and internally, like, that's what you want, but you're still looking at that tree like, something not right about this. And you're right, there's something not right about it. First of all, you're not supposed to be with that person, and they're showing you that. Second of all, you just have to be in a situation where you are finding what you need. You're finding what you want. You're finding out where you belong. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just go with the flow. They go with whatever, and then you look in the mirror one day and your smile changed. You've changed. Everything about you has changed, and it's like you're sitting there wondering why. You're sitting there wondering what happened to me. Like you lose yourself in these situations where you should be at your greatest self when you're with somebody in a relationship. There should be nothing in a relationship that pulls you down. It should all be uplifting. Because when you find a person who understands you on every level, who gets you on every level, it is literally like that fish got thrown into the ocean. Just imagine that for a second. This fish this whole time has been trying to climb this tree. Don't know why the fins won't get up there. And then you take that fish and you throw that fish in the ocean. Just think of that moment when it first hits that water. It's like, wait a minute. That's what this is supposed to feel like? There's a lot of y'all out there trying to climb some trees, man. A lot of y'all out there trying to climb some trees. And there's a lot of dudes that know they're not good enough for you. And that in one way or another, they'll tell you that. Just ask them, do I deserve somebody better? They're always going to say deserve somebody better. Like, because you would think that you would want the person you're with to have the best. But it's like if you're literally trying everything you can and being everything you can be, you will be the best. And for those of y'all with kids, man, special shout out to you, because it's real hard out here dealing with this situation while also navigating parenthood, right? And I was in this situation where the relationship is dead and gone basically, but you're still just sticking it out for the kids, right? But at that point, it's bigger than just you. Like, if you are going to stick it out for the kids, you have to understand that's literally the worst thing you could do, because now you're teaching them that these are the kind of relationships they should see, these loveless, lifeless relationships. And I'm pretty sure most of you, if you look at it and say, okay, like, what kind of relationship do I want for my son or my daughter? What do I want them to find later on? It would definitely not be like the one you have, especially if you've been cheated on and stuff like that. Like, obviously nobody would want that for their child, but it's like we have to look at things from that spectrum, not just, hey, just being together is fine, because it's not fine. That's not the end all be all. The end all be all is happiness. Obviously that's what you want, but sometimes the best thing for the kid is to not be around toxicity. And it might not even look toxic. It might not be arguing and screaming at each other, but it just might be a lack of love. Think about it. If you have kids and if you're in a relationship where you're like, I'm just sticking it out for the kids, is what you're showing them what you would want them to emulate? And if it's not, why are you showing them that in the first place? At the end of the day, you just have to look at it like people are always going to do what's best for them. That's kind of how that works. Women, y'all are wired differently. Men are always going to do what's best for themselves. It's about self-preservation for men. For women, it's about making sure the whole team flourishes. That's the difference. There's a stark difference when it comes to women and men when it comes to that. The man is about protecting everybody, make sure everybody's straight, all that good stuff. But women, y'all are literally about the team. It's not just about self-preservation, because the man feels like, I am good, then I can save everybody else. The woman is about, if everybody else is good, then I can worry about me. That's why men and women work so well together, because in any given moment, those two things, when combined, can be something very beautiful, right? So I say that because a lot of the times when it comes to self-preservation and stuff like that, a man will do stupid shit. Okay? A man will go out and step outside of his relationship, outside of his marriage, outside of whatever it may be. And a lot of time I hear people say like, oh, well, if you feel that way, why don't you just break up with me? And it's like, because it's not about you. As crazy as that sounds, because you're thinking, well, I'm the person being cheated on, I'm the person being played, I'm the person being done like this. Well, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about self-preservation. It's about what they want. It's about their own desires that they give into. So if you have a situation where a person is literally telling you and showing, well, not even telling you, because a lot of times they'll tell you lies. Look at what they're showing you, and you'll be able to figure out that, you know what? His actions are really speaking loud right now. Then you have to decide what you're going to do with that. Like I said before, a test of relationship has nothing to do with how much you like about a person. It has everything to do with what you don't like about a person and how much you can tolerate it. So just think, if you're in a relationship right now, think about whatever it is that you don't like about your partner. Right? Now think about how much you can tolerate that. Think about if it gets worse. What does that look like? So at the end of the day, you have to understand that in these situations, you have to gauge what that is. I can't tell you what that is. I can't tell you what your limits are and what you can do. What I can tell you is that regardless of everything else, if all you ever do is understand who you are and what you desire and stay true to that, everything else will fall right into place. That's why I'm a big advocate on people working on themselves. I feel like you can't get into a good relationship without doing that. You got to work on you. You got to be able to say, okay, this is who I am. This is what I enjoy. This is what I got going on. This is what I can offer somebody. This is what I offer me. Take yourself out on dates. Take yourself on a vacation. A lot of people are scared to do stuff like that. I understand the trepidation, but take yourself out. Go out to your favorite restaurant. Order your favorite meal. Go to a movie that you wanted to see. You know, stuff's a lot easier when you don't have to conspire with other people to come up with ideas. When it's like, you know what? Thinking I want a steakhouse tonight. You just go there. I'm thinking I want this meal. Order it. You want to watch that movie? You don't have to sit and wait for somebody else to say, hey, do you want to watch this? It's only you. You watch it. And that's the beauty of it. The beauty of it is being you to the fullest. Actually taking time and saying, this is what I want to do. That's what it's about. And a lot of people just don't do that. They don't take that time. And this, I would say, this is probably the main failure of most relationships, that you base it off the wrong thing. You base your next relationship off of what went wrong in your last relationship. So that's not the way you do it. Like I say, like you have a back injury and your back hurts real bad, right? So go to the back doctor. The back doctor, he hooks you up. You're with that back doctor for a year. The back doctor's fixing your back. You still have to go back. No pun intended. So you got to go back to him, get your back popped in, whatever. After a year and a half, feeling pretty good. Now you're feeling really good. It's like a year, and it's like, you know, almost 2 years later now. And now you're like, you know what? My back feels great now. You did all your checkups. Everything's good to go. Do you need to go back to that doctor? Of course not. Back is fixed, right? Why would you need to go to the back doctor? But this is the exact same strategy people use for dating. They'll say, well, this guy, he was a cheater, or he talked a certain way, or he did a certain thing. And all you're looking for is somebody who's going to not have that flaw. You'll overlook all the other flaws, but you won't, but you're just literally finding somebody who doesn't fit that one thing. That's why it's important that you find you. Because when you find yourself and you sit down and you say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I want, then at that point, can't nobody tell you nothing. Because now you're not just going to the back doctor. You know what I'm saying? You're actually choosing somebody who fits with the current mold of who you are and who you have learned to love. And believe me, can't nobody love you like you. You can't. Because nobody's going to know every inner thought, everything you need, everything you ever wanted. That's only you. So you have to learn to love that person, and you have to learn how to evolve and be even better, right? But you can't do that in a situation where you're with somebody who is dragging you down, who's making you feel inadequate, who's making you feel like you're not good enough. It's never going to work. It's just not. Because every time you're around that person, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same feelings. It's going to be the same old, as they say. And you have to decide when enough is enough. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's always a matter of when. And for a lot of people, when ends up being too late. When ends up being that you wasted years and years of your life, and then you look back at it and you'll ask the question that you should never have to ask, which is, why did I put up with that for so long? And you might be able to come up with an excuse, come up with a reason, whatever it may be. But what you won't be able to do is come back up with that time you lost. You won't be able to. It's not possible. Instead of looking at a situation and being like, you know what, I wasted all this time, but let me make an excuse now. Don't do that. Look at the situation for what it is. If you have to, do the most simple thing you can do. Do pros and cons. Say, this is the pros. This is what I like. This is what I don't like in my relationship. These are the things that need to be worked on. These are the things that don't need to be worked on. These are the things that are red flags. I don't think we look at red flags enough. Really don't. Like, really, look at the person you're with and write down their red flags. Write down their green flags. It might be funny. It might be pretty hilarious. They might have yellow flags. Things that I could deal with that. But those red flags, those things, like I said, like the person I was talking about earlier, she was getting cheated on. Like she literally caught her man in different dating sites, posting stuff, talking about he just wanted casual hookups, things like that. And I told her, you have to decide when enough is enough. Write down these red flags. Look at it. And then say, how long can I deal with that? What if that gets worse? Because usually over time, things exacerbate themselves. They don't get better. Very rarely will things improve unless you really, really put in work to them. But in a situation where there's any kind of cheating or any kind of things like that, a man will try to get away with as much as the man can get away with, which coincidentally is as much as the woman will allow. That's what it is. So if you catch your man doing something and you don't, it sounds like a little kid, but if you don't reprimand him for it or give him some real consequences to that, he's gonna do it again. And then find out, okay, like, what about your last 2 or 3 relationships? Is this a pattern? Is this a person that cheats a lot? Is this a person who cheated in the past? Why do you cheat? Have a conversation with people and say, okay, this is what I'm noticing, this is what I'm seeing, and you tell them, this is what I cannot deal with. This is not okay for me to continuously deal with this. I feel inadequate. I don't feel good enough. I feel like I'm losing my sense of self. And if this continues, then this, as a relationship, will not continue. You got to stand up for yourself. There's a lot of women out there getting cheated on, getting played, and they're doing nothing about it. They're just accepting it. And they're saying, well, maybe things will get better. Well, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he learned his lesson this time. I got a spoiler for you. He didn't learn his lesson because nothing happened to him. People learn lessons when they have consequences. As you'll see gangsters break down in court. You know why? Because they getting them consequences. Do you think that same gangster, if he was out on the street, still doing his thing, would have any remorse? Would feel bad? No. He's going to continue doing everything he would be doing. But once he's in that courtroom, you'll see emotion. When they hand out those sentences, you can go on YouTube right now. You'll see people with some of the most heinous crimes committed. Some of the worst things you could do to a person. And those people will break down and cry in the courtroom. Why? I mean, they obviously did it. They know they did it. They know they even deserve the penalty for it. But it's getting that penalty, getting that penance for that, is what makes them turn around and say, you know what? Now I have remorse. Now imagine if those same people, those same gangsters and everything, when the judge came out and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go ahead and roam these streets forever and ever, as long as you want. You know what they're going to do? They're going to smile. High five their lawyer. Probably give them a little extra tip. Get back on those streets. Do the same thing all over again. What's stopping your man from doing the same thing? It's got to be consequences. There has to be consequences. Even if it's fake consequences. Even if you don't necessarily want to do it. Even if you say, you know what? I found this. I'm done. See what he says. That's it. Be like, you know what? I see that you're doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm done. We're not doing this no more. I wasted enough of my life. I wasted enough of my time. Not doing it anymore. See what he says. A lot of y'all are sitting here like, well, we already had the conversation and I already forgave him. That don't mean anything. Because I'll ask you this, and I want you to really, really think about this. When is the last time you were happy? And I don't mean like you went out with your friend, she said a really good joke, you were laughing, you're talking, you weren't thinking. No. When was the last time you were happy? When was the last time you could look at life and say, I love where I am right now in life. I love how I feel. I love what I'm dealing with. I love life right now. When is the last time you were able to do that? A month? 6 months? Longer? Have you ever been able to do that? It's not something I can answer for you. But if you're really thinking about that, and you're in a relationship, and you've been going through things with this person in this relationship, you have to decide how much longer you're going to allow yourself to deal with that. Because if you don't, again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when that day comes, where that rubber band finally breaks, it snaps, and you say, I don't know why I put up with that for so long. Don't be that person. Think about it now. Make a decision now. Do what you need to do right now. At the end of the day, it's not going to do anything but save your time. We are human beings. We're on this earth for a finite amount of time. So, if you're with somebody who is not the person who makes you happy, is not the person who cares about you, but if not the person who really goes out of their way to show you how they feel about you, or maybe not even one of those types of people, maybe you just need somebody who cares about you in other ways. If they're not showing you that care that you desire, the love that you desire, and if you feel less than, if you feel inadequate, I'll ask you, why are you putting up with that this long? And when are you going to stop it? But that's all we got time for today, even though it's been a long one. So hope y'all all take care of yourself. Hope that you ask yourself the hard questions more than anything. Be good to yourselves, be good to one another, and hey, that's my 2 cents on love.